thanks. I'm going to make a presentation which is more or less in the same spirit as the one as Frank did, which is more related to the microstructural effect and the use of polycrystalline plasticity for multi-axial high cycle fatigue modeling. The work we did with Frank, we show you that it was working, and what I'm going to show you that it doesn't work for us. Now, what I'm going to show you is that the difficulty is more about the problems we have, what we can make out of it, but what the problems we still have. So, what we want to do is really to change a bit the way of making fatigue models, or at least to reanalyze more precisely the effect of microstructure. And if you look, usually what is made when you try to go from the middle scale to the micro scale, usually we use homogenization techniques to go up the scales. What we want to try to do is, following all the developments of microstructure modeling that we had during the past 10 to 15 years, we want to introduce more precisely the microstructure to fit more precisely as well all the experimental investigation that we have at those scales, which are more difficult to access with such modeling. So we want to try to induce more microstructure, explicitly microstructures, to go up to the scale or to the design of structures. So what we are doing is more or less based on microstructure modeling with two parts, which one part is dedicated to obtain experimental data from the microstructures for the microstructure. So the BSD, for example, to identify clearly the microstructures, identify the cyclic behavior of the material, and then HCF test, as we all do, to have the macro results of the behavior of the material with respect to different loading. And in parallel, we do simulation of microstructures with 2D or 3D microstructures, and we try to use those data to build microstructure sensitive parameters, at least a methodology that uses standard criteria, but to introduce sensitive aspects to the microstructure. So that's what we are trying to do. So basically what we are doing is, as shown before in the presentation, is 3D microstructure modeling. So we have been using such microstructures which are semi-periodical microstructures. That means that you can pay the space in this aggregate to rebuild a larger aggregate. It helps us to avoid some edge effect in the numerical computations. And if you use a 3D model with semi-periodical conditions, which means that those spaces here around are periodical geometrically, but not the front and back side, then you can analyze some free surface effect, for example. So you can extract from your data the grains which are on the surface from the grains which are in the bulk, and try to evaluate the impact on the surface or the particular stress state at the surface with respect to the bulk. More or less what we are using is 300 elements per grains. We have been optimizing the computations to have this figure, and that ensure us a good estimate of the stress strain at this scale, which with not too much computation time. And then we put in those computations some different textures to evaluate, for example, the effect of textures on the fatigue properties. So we can model the microstructure explicitly in terms of geometry, and we input the textures we want, and then we use adequate standard constitutive modeling for crystal plasticity. For those who are not much aware of it, in fact it's more or less using the standard constitutive laws, but which are projected at the grain scale on the slip systems of the material. And the only thing that we had up here is an hardening which is depending on an interaction matrix that gives you an idea of, if you active one slip system, what is the effect of this activation of one slip system on the hardening on the other slip system. So in such a way you can put some effect on non-proportional loadings for example, on the RN. So once we have those microstructures, what we have to do is to compute them and to choose the load levels. So what we have been doing is identifying from a given criteria the different macroscopic stress state that we have to apply on our aggregates to the R3D to have an equivalent fatigue life in terms of with respect to the criteria. So if, for example, we use here for different materials, but we use for copper, some data from Lucas and Kunz, at fatigue strength at 10 to the 6 cycles. So what we're dealing is for high cycle fatigue life, 10 to the 6. In such a way, we have equivalent loading in terms of fatigue strength, and what we try to evaluate is the local stress and strain, and try to see how and if we can find some ways to introduce a microstructure or some sensitive approach to the microstructure. What we are doing as well is some homogenization. So we are not going to deal in the same way as we did for notches. We are not going to deal with local values at those points in the aggregate, but we are going to deal with average at the grain scale. So we average stress and strains at the grain scale numerically, and that's those data that we extract from our computations. So we do numerical homogenization, and we look, for example, at different evolution of the stress and strain during cyclic loading. So this is computational results that we did for different loading cases. Here it's in tension, and we simulate 10 to 3 cycles, so 1,000 cycles, and we try to see what is the evolution of the local stress and strain with respect to the constitutive behavior that we have been inputting in the model. So what we can see is that you have a constant evolution of plasticity parameter, which is normal, accumulated plasticity progressing along with the computation, while the stress quantities, which is here a picture of the equivalent stress, Colmizet equivalent stress, is more or less stabilized quickly. So we have fast stress stabilization at the micro scale, at the meso scale, and with constant increase of the plastic strain. So we have plastic accommodation at the meso scale. You can see it more clearly here when you see the macro cyclic loading, and you have the meso response, and it's response of the grains. So you can see that the picture that you have is quite different at the macro and the meso scales. And when you analyze local behavior, you really widening your local response of the material with respect to the macro, the macroscopic applied stress. And if you look at the other quantities, more or less the same. And what is interesting here is that you need more or less 1,000 cycles, a bit less, to stabilize completely your strain rate, your plastic strain rate. So it means that if you want stabilized pictures in terms of strength, you need much more time than if you use the stress data. So that's one of the reasons why we have been using in the first approach mostly stress-based parameters, and I will not show you what we've been doing in terms of strain-based parameters. So here for our computation, it's a more precise picture here. If you look at the distribution of the shear and normal stresses in the aggregate as a function of the number of cycles, you see that when you use 10 cycles, it's quite enough to get a good picture, or a sufficient picture of what is the local stresses. You don't need to go to 1,000 cycles. That's quite good for us, because otherwise we would have been in trouble. If you do 3D computation, you will see the number of loading cases and computation you have to do. After then, we will have some problems analyzing precisely the data. Once we have the local stress and strains, how we use this, we choose different criteria. So here it's a dynamic parameter, but you can use whatever you want for criteria. And what we are doing is projecting the criteria, the standard criteria, at the grain scale. So what we do is, as we did it for the constitutive behavior, instead of doing a screening on all directions over time, we are going to do a screening in each grain over the slip systems of the grain. And we keep, of course, the maximization over time. But in terms of space, we're going to limit the analysis to the slip systems, possible slip system of the aggregate, just because we consider that crack initiation is related to the development of plasticity at the grain scale, and then we have a crack, slip to crack transition, but on the slip system of the aggregate. And if you do this, and you look at the distribution in space for given loading of this parameter, of the criteria here, of danger parameter, you will see that it changes quite a bit the picture between the continuous in terms of space to the when you go to the discrete analysis in the space with respect to the slip system of the aggregates. And what you can see here is that you limitate the analysis to some planes, particular planes first, and then you input some noise. Here it's more or less continuous, and here you have a noisy picture of the fatigue parameter. And this noisy picture is related to the fact that you are using anisotropic elasticity. Then you go from isotropic elasticity, then you go to anisotropic elasticity, then you change the picture of the parameter as it is. And I'll speak to this one. So, if you do this for a different criterion, for example, Crossland, Metaclear, or non criterion, you can plot the macroscopic threshold of the criterion. You can plot the point that is related to the macroscopic loading you applied on your aggregate. And you can also plot all the response of the aggregate. So all the small dots are the response of each grain to a given loading. And if you do this, you can see that your macroscopic response does not describe very precisely the aggregate response. And in particular, what you can see is that the mean stress here, for example, the black dot which is here, you have some grains which are not below the threshold of the material. You have some grains which are beyond this threshold. So it's more or less normal because this response is an homogenization point that is obtained from the macroscopic stress loadings. And when you look at the small dots here, you can build a new threshold, which will be a threshold for the mesoscale. So you need to introduce another parameter or another threshold here. And this new threshold will be going through the point that is the most heavily loaded in the aggregate according to one fatigue criterion. So we say, okay, we are not going to use anymore this macro threshold, we're going to use this meso threshold, okay, which is more related to the microstructure. The problem if you do this is that if you compute another aggregate, you will have another maximum here. Okay? Well, this is a problem because you are not statistically representative using only one aggregate. You are on this aggregate representative from a constitutive modeling point of view. So the cyclic behavior is stabilized, but not the fatigue response. It's not sufficient doing just one computation. So what you have to do is many computations. And you have in particular to analyze not the one response, but all the responses of the aggregate or given macrostructure to the loading. And you have in particular to analyze the effect of the extreme values of the response of the microstructure to the given loading. So what we do is we're going to use some descriptions of the extreme responses, which are the set of responses obtained from the previous computation. So what we basically do is many computations, obtaining the extremes values and fitting some distributions for these extreme values. So the most efficient ones is the one proposed by Jenkinson in 1955 that proposed a general formulation for the extreme value distribution, which is, I will not go into detail, but depending mostly on this parameter, T, and this parameter, depending on the value of this parameter, you are shifting from one distribution to the other, going from variable to phase shape, going through Gumbel, Foxy parameter equal to 0. So we did this on our aggregates. The main strategy is this one, and it's a similar strategy or analysis that was proposed by David McDowell as well in the same type of computations. So we are doing many computations, many means we're going to 20 to 30 computations of aggregates, 30 aggregates per loading cases. Okay, and for each aggregate we have more or less 300 grains. It's a few 100,000 elements in each case. And we are taking out of that data the extreme values, fitting our distribution, and obtaining a parameter that is an indicator associated to a probability of 0.5 of this particular distribution of extremes. And we are rebuilding a new threshold, which is not the macroscopic one, but the meso one, which fit more or less with this probability, but you can change the probability if you want to have a higher threshold, that fits the extreme value computation, give an indication of the extreme value response. So you can do this for numerically for different loading cases. That's more or less also loading cases we did for different microstructures. So in phase, out of phase, tension portion, proportional, non-proportional. And what I'm going to show you is some points that we can discuss maybe later, and some information we can get out of it. So first, we analyzed the ratio between the meso threshold and the macro threshold. You have a macro one, the meso one, and you have the ratio. So if your extreme value response was the same as the macro response, you will have indicators close to 1. And depending on the parameters that you get, you have a shift between the meso one and the macro one. And the higher is this parameter, the lower is the parameter, the closer is the meso criteria from the macro criteria. For example, here you see that if you use some shear stress-based and normal stress or hydrostatic stress-based criteria, but shear one, maximum shear plane, a critical plane approach, you will be much closer from the from the macro response. So it means that those parameters, they give a good evaluation of the response at the micro scale, okay, which is mostly based on the fact that you are at the maximum shear critical plane based approach, but also here this difference is due to the fact that you use elastic anisotropy. You have elastic anisotropy introduced and you modify the stress and strain parameter that you include in your computation. A point that is interesting is that depending on the parameter, on the criteria that you are using, you don't have similar response between the mesoscale and the macro scale. For example, for such criteria here, you see that for some loading cases you have an offset of the response, it's not linear. So it means that locally you have, using a macrostructural analysis, you have a different response or different sensitivity to the loading than the macro response. So using this type of analysis, you can try to evaluate, depending on the criteria you are using, different sensitivities to the macroscopic response. Another thing that we are interested in, I will skip this one, go directly to this one. We have been a lot talking in this workshop about loading path and trying to evaluate the loading path and trying to relate it to the fatigue life. But when you look here to different microstructures, here are the different passes that are related to the grains which are critical. So this is a critical grain for the aggregate. And you compare the loading path of those grains with respect to the loading path that you compute macroscopically. And what you can see is that the macroscopic one is very far away from the mesoscopic one. So maybe the thing that we can think about is that when we try to interpret some effect of non-proportionality, and if you look at this picture, maybe the macro analysis is not a good one. Maybe you have to go to more smaller scale to understand some effects. And for example here, I will show you it there, you can also analyze the effect of the loading on the different slip systems. So here it's in between different microstructures. Here it's for the same critical grain. but on the different slip system of the grain. And what you can see here is that you can fit, of course, some micro response here, for example, on this grain, with this loading path. But here you have some other slip systems in the same grain that experience loading paths which are very different, but as critical. Okay, so what tells us that it's going to be this one or this one that's going to initiate at the end? So such analysis can give us some information about what is the variety of the loading paths that we have at the micro scale, and I believe it's quite interesting to have for interpretation. Another remark that we have is that if you look at the if you look at the microstructure, it's depending on different parameters, which is morphology and texture. I don't want to go too much into detail, but we observe that granular morphology has a strong effect on the local stress strain. But the texture are also an effect, and the surrounding of the materials are also an effect. So it's a combination of geometry, texture, and neighboring effect. So all those parameters does influence strongly the local response in the aggregate. So that's also some consideration that we have to take into account when we are doing some comparison between experimental results and numerical results at these scales. Well, I'm going to skip because I'm going to run out of time, right? So I just want to go directly to some questions that we have. I'm going to skip that, which are the conclusions. So we have, more or less, you see the procedure that we are using, extreme statistic, local analysis of the stress strain paths, and using this we can evaluate the effect of texture and evaluate the effect of node shift. We did it during the previous presentation. But we have problems. So that's the most interesting first problem we have is how to identify the cyclic behavior. We can do it for large plastic strain. So here we have large plastic amplitude. You can do a macroscopic test and identify the parameters for the crystal plasticity modeling. However, when we go to a very high cycle fatigue, we go to very, very low strain amplitudes. And the validity of the loads that we are identifying at the micro scale for large strain amplitudes is not really sure that it's going to work for low strain amplitudes. So when we try to compute stresses, many people say that for stresses it was very hard because we don't know what to do. While we can measure strain, but when you are doing this, in fact, strain is a problem because you cannot even measure strain. It's very small. We don't have very efficient technique at the scale to measure strain. So what is the best methodology? So we tried to secure our computations, but by comparing experimental and numerical results. So we did the same experiments as we compute in terms of loading cases, and you can see that when you look at the plasticity developing between the different loading cases and you compare to the experimental observations, in terms of intensity of slip, you have some similarities. But it's very hard then to compare directly, to quantify the data. What we have been trying to do is use EBSD technique. EBSD technique can give you information about misorientation. So misorientation is plasticity. So if you analyze the misorientation distribution, you can maybe have a way to compare your modeling to your experimental results. But still, it's quite difficult, and I do not know much techniques able to fit properly or to give sufficient information at the local scale to ensure that what we are computing is correct. So, of course, we can think about the DIC techniques or spectral interferometry, but still we are facing some problems due to localization, for example. So this is the first problem. The second problem we have is that what we try to do is to measure crack initiation. So you have localization of strain, crack, localization to crack transition, and what we are analyzing is this type of picture. So you can see that the localization is not very well captured. At least we don't have this type of patterns occurring. We have localization that is not well described by such modeling. So you can find some modeling by by the literature, recent work of some, for example, where they have been into the microstructural modeling, they have been pre-printing the localization. Okay. They change locally the parameters of the constitutive modeling to impose the localization. But it's a bit not natural. So you need to know before and to choose it before, and it raises some other problems, right? So you can go down the scales, or by dislocation dynamics, or by molecular dynamics to try to input some more localization, which is probably the most efficient ways. But then the problem is how to go up the scales, how to apply on such computation complex links, or is that a desperate way of doing things, or can we find some other ways of analyzing such a problem? Almost last one. It's a neighboring effect. We have been computing grains, we have been analyzing critical grains, but as you know, when you look at the material, you don't have a grain which is alone and being critical and saying, okay, the structure is failed. We know that we have some critical grains, but they are surrounded by other grains, in which the response is not only due to the anisotropy and the local plasticity, but also to the short propagation. Okay, and this type of analysis, we are not yet ready to do it. In fact, we are considering each grain as critical individually, but it's very hard to input in the modeling of the damage some non-local aspects. Up to now, it's still things that we are working on, and to my opinion, I think we have lack of sufficient data, experimental data at the micro scale, on microplasticity and short crack initiation on a complex loading. It's a very hard task in terms of experimental work, but if we want to progress on it, we need more data, to my opinion, at this scale. It's very time consuming, time demanding, etc. Okay, so more explanation.